All right, welcome to Straight Up. Spread the word, share the link. We'll be right back.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Scott, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Scott, radio station is the fruit. Mark Scott, straight up from the root. Mark Scott, who tell the truth? Mark Scott, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Scott, radio station is the fruit. Mark Scott, straight up from the root. Mark Scott, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Scott stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Scott, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Scott, radio station is the fruit. Mark Scott, straight up from the root. Mark Scott, who tell the truth? Mark Scott, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Scott, radio station is the fruit. Mark Scott, straight up from the root. Mark Scott, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention, education, labor.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
Hey, guess what? Good night and welcome to Straight Up. My name is Mark Benshap. We're going to rock and roll for 1 hour. Well, we have, look, two Nigels on tonight. Nigel Hughes and Nigel London. We'll have them on. They are going to be with us. Nigel Hughes will give us an update on the Kadaki situation. And, you know, Kadaki is still at the East La Penitence or somewhere there. Police station. Somewhere he is, or they probably took him to the lockups already. Look, you already see what is happening in that country. If tomorrow were to be, elections were to be held tomorrow, the PPP has got to go. The racist PPP has to go. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. They're corrupt, they're racist, and they're brutal. No matter how much they try to sit with the congressman, the visiting congressman, we saw them. They're sitting there. Take a look at them. Take a look at Ropes and Ben. All these people have done so much to brutalize Guyanese. They have the nerve to sit there with the congressman, pretending as though all is hunky-dory in Guyana. All is not well. Take a look, guys. Take a look at the body language. Take a look. Take a look at Ropes and Ben. Take a look at the faces of the others there. Just take a look. You know, I am not an expert in reading facial expressions or body language, but I tell you what, for a little guy that spent a lot of his years on the quarantine, right, at Philippi Village and Alice Village and so forth, I can read their minds. They're not satisfied. They are just not happy at all. Take a look at their facial expression. They're cutting. First of all, Anand Prasad, who's all the way down at the end next to the foreign minister, that is Hugh Todd. Look at Anand Prasad. Anand Prasad na understand what go on, man. I know why them invite Anand to that meeting. The others are lost. They want to sleep. Take a look at Anil. Anil wants to sleep. They're not happy with the fact that the congressman was able to do what he had to do. And now some of us had issues with the congressman. I'll be the first to tell you guys. I came out at you guys and we said, look, no. Why is the congressman accepting an invitation from a corrupt PPP regime to be in Guyana to raise the flag? What is so significant about raising the flag with a racist, with an apartheid regime? And especially the son of a civil rights leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson, he's going to be there in Guyana. To his son, Congressman Jonathan Jackson, is going to be there in Guyana. And we had issues with that. And so you know what happened. Congratulations to all of you who made it happen, that the congressman decided that he's going to change up his schedule. Look, I don't want to talk much. I have a hero. You guys know this person. I wouldn't even call her name. Let me check in the audience there if you know who this person is. She was there at the meeting in Mocha today, Mocha Arcadia. She was there. Let me see if you guys know who it is that I'm talking about. And whilst you guys share the link, let me see if y'all know who this person is. Somebody said Miss Beth. No, absolutely. You're wrong. Denise October said Big Auntie. Golly God. Golly God says Aunt Vashti. Everybody get Aunt Vashti. Everybody get Aunt Vashti. Suddenly Vashti becomes everybody auntie. Everybody big auntie. But before we bring her on, of course, Miss Vashti. Yeah, she is with us this evening. Colin Bino, how are you? The congressman went there to listen to the people. But let's get straight on the line because I don't want Aunt Vashti to be waiting there much longer because you know what? She has a death in the family. Her brother passed away, and let's take this time out to extend our condolences on behalf of all of us here at 107.1 FM and all of you in the audience as well. Miss Vashti, good night. How are you?
Good night to you, sir.
Well,
I'm sorry for my voice.
Your voice is fine. Thank you so much for what you did today. You went out and you represented. How was it being there with the congressman and talking about your predicament?
It was good, but I hadn't much time that I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on discrimination, but I was able to address the condition that they have us living here under, the inhumane condition that they have humans living under here in Petersall because of the bridge, and I think that is not right. We should be given fair square. I did not get to express more concerning the discrimination in paying the PPP people, the Indians, more money than the Negro people, and that's the reason why we're still here. As I mentioned before, we are not against development, but what they're doing with us, that is it.
You think
I was able to show the Congress house that are giving so much of money, they're giving so much of money to that guy, right? And but I thought, if I could have a little bit more, and because I was so much taken up, because in fact I was preparing this morning to go to do our business, to go because we have to bury our dead. So my mind was really, wasn't really concentrating on that, to lay over for us the very, very issues about how the government is treating us here with our money, because they pay the Indians and move them out, and they're living in superstitious fancy house, and we are still here in an industrial site, which this is a residential area that became that, and it's very, very heartrending to tell you tonight, Mr. Edgar.
Let me say this. Sorry, go ahead, Ms. Vashti. Go ahead.
Yes, and so I was glad today when I heard the Mocha people. It was very good. But when I saw members of the PPP there and trying to defend the government and saying they're doing this, It was really obnoxious, I tell you. I'm one, let me tell you, I am one, I tell you, that started to boo those people. They should not have been there because he's there to hear our plea, our concern. And they just come to I don't know what
let me say this. Let me say this to you, Miss Vashti, and for all of our listeners, that I salute you even more, because having lost your brother this morning, you're preparing. You guys have funeral arrangements and so forth, but yet you took time out to go out there to register your concern, not just on your behalf, but on behalf of thousands of Guyanese. Thank you so much for what you did there this morning. Let me have our listeners, because you did say that you booed them, and I'm glad that you booed them. You should have booed the so-called PPP reptiles out of the place. This is what happened. Maybe you got a chance to listen to it while you were there. I'm not sure, but let us go to that tape, please.
Thank you so much for that. But if I could have a point of privilege, this is a family dialogue. If one person wants to talk longer, I am available to listen. So we're going to do this like we're sitting in the kitchen. I want to hear from you. I want to know the challenges. And so.
Sorry, I have to replay that, but not now when Miss Vashti is gone. You guys have never seen me laugh like this on the show or probably in life. So, Miss Vashti. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, after he was being booed, I think the congressman spoke to him that he must refrain from speaking. And that was good because people are there hurting and concerned, and they're just adding insult to the injuries that they're doing to the African race. That is what they're doing.
Go ahead, Miss Vashti. I am hurrying to get you off, because I know your circumstances with the death in your family, but you want to talk, I respect that. Go ahead.
Yes, what I'm saying, they should not have been there. No, we should not entertain them.
They should not. But there was a lady who spoke after. How did you feel? Because she was talking a bunch of crap.
Yeah, she spoke. I think she spoke with me because after I finished speaking, I left.
Okay, you did leave. So you didn't get a chance to shake the congressman's hand afterwards.
I did when I went up to speak. I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I.
So you did leave. You left after.
Yes, I left after. As soon as I finished speaking, I left after.
Yeah. Let me ask you this before you go. Any development with regards to compensation for you?
No, not really. Until now, we are given 30 days, and I think the 30 days probably would end in June. I think the 12th, and there's no feedback until now from the government. The way forward. So we are still here, and we are waiting on them. So I don't know when the 30 days is up. I don't know what they're going to do. So, but we are here and we are prepared for them.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Ms. Vashti, before you go this evening? We'd love to have you back on maybe after the funeral and so forth. Anything else you wish to say? Go ahead.
You do. Anyhow, let us keep resolute and let us keep strong. That is all we have to do. Because those people, they're just out to oppress us. And we African people, some of us, I'm so sorry, because a young lady was there and she was just, I tell you, if her eyes could have cut me up. She was just cutting me up from head to toe this morning. She was just cutting me up. And I just to make some remarks, I said, I'm so sorry for some black people because they're house slaves. I just whispering it so she could hear me. They're just house slaves.
Thank you so much. I think you said it for all of us, and you represented all of us who weren't there, especially those who are out of Guyana, but those who were there close by the community and decided not to go. But thank you so much for your bravery, Ms. Vashti. Thank you.
And Mr. Benchcock, I'm so glad that the Mocha people who really realize what is going on, they really stood out, I tell you. And they spoke well. Because one man, he said, they like to kill you or they victimize you. And I didn't get a chance because I say it again, I said it before on Ms. Bruce's program. This government, when you're speaking the truth, they like to silence you or you wake up dead next morning.
Absolutely true. They silence you, wake up dead, or they dump you in the jail or in the lockups, as Kadaki Amsterdam is currently in the lockups as we speak. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Vashti.
So shameful to know that these men of stalwart men, they're condoning people seeing wrong, and they're condoning. And as I say again, I say tonight, Mr. Benchcock, the church is too silent with the injustice, too much injustice, and inhumane things that are going on to human beings in this country. Yes, the church is too silent. God, men long ago, those went out, David, all those men went out because there was injustice, and those men went out to war. A lot of injustice passing here, and everybody keeps silent. They're condoning, all because of few cents that they're getting, drinking soup, house slaves. So thank you, Mr. Benchcock, for having me on tonight. Okay, looking forward to be on your program again.
You will.
Because we are in a storm here. The storm is not over. But God promised us, told them, I say, God is looking on. He's watching on.
You will.
Thank you so much.
You will be back. And again, condolences on the passing of your brother. We have Apostle Nigel is with us now. Maybe Apostle Nigel wants to say a quick hi to you. Go ahead, Apostle. Good night and welcome.
Night. Greetings to all of you, and thank you for having me here. I'm certainly moved by the passion of Ms. Vashti, and I would like to encourage her that the church or the clergy, we are not entirely silent, because I represent that, and I'm not by no means silent regarding the injustice. And I share your view that there should be many more voices calling as loudly as possible against the wickedness in our nation. There's no other way for me to describe it than being people who are wicked and vindictive. And so the righteous should speak loudly about it. So anyone who's silent now, I deem them to be unrighteous and totally for what our people are going through.
Yep. Thank you, Ms. Vashti. That's the voice of Apostle Nigel there.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you so much indeed. Appreciate it. All right. Hey, guys, we have Apostle Nigel London is, I'll get it right, the last name.
That's fine. Legally, so it's fine.
Thank you so much, though. Appreciate it. We had, that was Ms. Vashti. Ms. Vashti was there, and she spoke out, and she spoke on behalf of thousands upon thousands of people. Thank you so much, Ms. Vashti. Apostle Nigel, you saw, I hope, because I know you're a busy man, the meeting with the congressman, U.S. congressman out of Chicago, Jonathan Jackson, the son of civil rights leader Jesse Jackson. He decided that, look, after all, the regime brought him to Guyana and they tried to cover things up. But because of the voices out there, people who said to the congressman, no, you've got to meet with the people. And he so decided to add that on his agenda, on his calendar. Your take on the visit and the intention of the PPP, but what we saw specifically in Mocha today?
Well, I was unable to view the entire meeting today because of how my day went. But I followed very closely initially your call regarding him interacting with the PPP and when they invited him. And I saw others joining that call to say that he should be very mindful and aware of the fact that there are African descendants who are suffering tremendously at the hand of this cabal. And therefore, it would be very, very telling on his part to be willing to interact with these people in any friendly or cordial manner without knowing the facts. And I do applaud Congressman Jackson for taking the time to say, okay, well, given the cries of so many, and it was not just one. There were quite a few persons who I saw. As I said, the first person I noticed would have been you, who said, "No shame on you. I knew you were really," you would say in our vernacular, going in reference to how you felt about this arrangement, more or less. And he responded to it. I am happy to know that, like his father, Jesse, he took the time to hear what people had to say. And some of what I gathered from it was that, well, actually, I was at work today, and browsing my phone, I saw the creature Kwame McCoy. And I said, look at this filth of a creature. And I apologies for saying what I'm saying on the radio, but I cannot describe him in any other manner. And maybe they can come arrest me for cyberbullying when I'm done here too. Because that's how I feel about him. He is a useless, worthless, absolute disgrace for a human being. And he was there leading, to some extent, Mr. Jackson into Mocha, forgetting that there are still people who have the will to say exactly how they feel about what they experience. Because if there's one thing the PPP cannot trust, those who have the desire to speak the truth without fear. And I was overjoyed to know that Congressman Jackson was able to sit in that environment today and hear without Kwame being able to control what he heard. And that was powerful. And I know that the end result of this may not be what the PPP would like, because now he's going back. One, he would have been a guest of theirs, and then secondly, had a chance to hear from the other side of the table as to what really was transpiring. I believe, though, and this may not be what you like to share it, that it may have been more impactful in Linden if, when he showed up here, he would have met with the likes of Aubrey Norton and others standing on the road in front of the sports club saying, nobody's coming in here, because this is the mecca of sport in our country. This represents the social culture in Linden, and you people sought to destroy it and destroy us. That would have been so very much more.
You know, you're talking my language, but yet you have to say that is something that I probably wouldn't like. I think Aubrey and the entire cabinet should have been there and protest them so that the congressman, but you know, the opposition leader is strategizing, right? He has a strategy.
It may not be facts in reference to how I feel about.
Absolutely. I am ready. If I was in at Mocha Arcadia today, Kwame would not have entered that. They would have had to, we would have booed them out completely. There's no need for Kwame. But look, I think the congressman did it for all of us. Take a listen to this, please.
Thank you so much for that. But if I could have a point of privilege, this is a family dialogue. If one person wants to talk longer, I am available to listen. So we're going to do this like we're sitting in the kitchen. I want to hear from you. I want to know the challenges. And so I'm not here representing your government. I'm here as a representative from my district, or the 1st District of Illinois, and I want to hear from you. And I hope you would be as candid as you can. Some people are going to take longer because they have more to say, and I appreciate that. So in that spirit, I thank you.
Look, I think when I'm on the train, I want to look at somebody like this. And when I give you this kind of look, you know, it's like you used to get licks on your parents' small days with just how they look at you, you know. And you saw that, look. We got to go. Just take a pin, please. We got to. I love this. We got to, because it's if I was Kwame, well, I can't be Kwame. Sorry about that. But let's go.
Thank you so much for that. But if I could have a point of privilege, this is a family dialogue. If one person wants to talk longer, I am available to listen. So we're going to do this like we're sitting in the kitchen. I want to hear from you. I want to know the challenges. And so I'm not here representing your government. I'm here as a representative from my district, or the 1st District of Illinois, and I want to hear from you. And I hope you would be as candid as you can. Some people are going to take longer because they have more to say, and I appreciate that. So in that spirit, I thank you.
I mean, this is a serious show. I cannot be laughing like, but it was embarrassing. You saw Kwame, I mean, his lips, you know, trembling, right? And all manner of things because he was put in his place. is like basically, shut up. You're not going to run the show. I am here. I want to listen to the people. I don't care if they take 30 seconds. I don't care if they take 30 minutes. I am here to listen to them. Your take, Apostle.
I don't believe that Kwame knows who Congressman Jackson is or who his father would have been. Because had he known that, that's why I said I'm happy that of all the people they would have chosen, they chose Jesse Jackson's son. A man who, if he followed any way close to his father's footstep, he knew his father was never afraid to sit and hear the hard truth and engage in some really rough battles. And so Kwame started thinking that actually I believe he was sent to control what Jackson would have heard and to try to direct the people's speech to more or less. I wouldn't even doubt if they had a few paid PPP lackeys in there to say, then take a $10,000, $5,000 or some Chinese
and a box of food.
Correct. They had to,
yeah.
This yes, sir. They take this and you just get up and say the PPP is doing good for us. We love the PPP, and Jonathan threw the ball in their faces to say you're not stopping the people from saying what they have to say. And then I knew from Kwame's expression that he knew that was the moment when it all came down and he couldn't handle what happened thereafter.
Yep, Jack and Jill, kind of like Jack and Jill. We got to go back because even the female who was there, who was paid to be there, I don't know how much, whether she was paid financially, a land, a box of, I don't know. But let's go back quickly because I can sit and watch this all night. Seriously, all night. Come on, guys in the audience, let's take a look at it. Look at the female's expression. She didn't know what was going on. I'm talking about the female that is standing up. Let's go back here, because you know what I mean.
Thank you so much for that. But if I could have a point of privilege, this is a family dialogue. If one person wants to talk longer, I am available to listen. So we're going to do this like we're sitting in the kitchen. I want to hear from you. I want to know the challenges. And so I'm not here.
That was funny, but thank you so much, Congressman Jackson. If you're watching, good night. Thank you so much. The people of Mocha, they appreciate it, every single thing. And so the people had that opportunity to voice their opinions, to give their story, their side of the story. And what was very touching also is this young lady, she was there and she gave her side of the story. How impactful do you think this was today with regards to all of these people?
I believe that it would have made a significant impact and would have dealt the PPP another death blow, because here you have one who is known to be involved in the civil rights movement and the fight his father would have been for the rights of African descendants and so on. And so he came to a village that is by ancestry African, and the descendants of African people is known to be purchased by Africans. So he had a chance to live in Guyana, what maybe his father and others have seen in the US. And so the handling or the mishandling of this young lady and what she would have experienced, and then the PPP sought to defend this as though they were right to do what they were doing to this young lady. So I felt, and I still do feel, I don't know the last four, but a sense of joy knowing that a US congressman had a chance to hear firsthand from those who suffered at the hands of this PPP cabal. And I know that her words and what she would have had to share today would have been mixed with the passion and the pain of what she felt on that day. I wasn't there, but when I looked at it, led me to Mocha thereafter, because I could not see myself as a man looking at my African sister or woman in general being treated in that manner by the likes of Irfan Ali or his instructor. And then he said he didn't want to appear weak. So for him to appear strong, he would allow this to happen to a female. And Jonathan Jackson had a chance, that congressman today, to hear from the likes of this young lady. I'm happy that he did, and I'm happy that he was pressured to do so by the likes of you, Mr. Bishop. So though you don't normally receive this from many people, I would like to commend you for starting, in my view, this action to tell Jonathan, you're not going to come here and just shake hands with the PPP and think it's okay. There are people suffering here, there are African descendants suffering in Guyana, and you need to do better than what you've done. And he heard you. We tell me that they're listening to somebody somewhere.
You know, he heard the voices. He heard all the people in the audience who inboxed him, who went on his page, he heard everything. All of us played a part. You played a role. The opposition leader, the other politicians in Guyana who were active, those who were active. And so collectively, that's what happens when you do things as a team. That is what. But thank you so much. Yes, we started to voice our opinions right here on 107.1 FM as well. But kudos also to the members of the audience who were very active.
Yes,
I saw some folks on his page, Guyanese storm, abusing him out, right? And then now they say, hey, Congressman, we love you, right? Guyanese. Teamwork indeed, Shanette, Alicia. Apostle. Somebody text me to say play the tape back with Kwame and the congressman, but we can't play the tape all night. We can't. But I want to play back one more time, please. One more time.
I would love to see.
Thank you so much for that. But if I could have a point of privilege, this is a family dialogue. If one person wants to talk longer, I am available to listen. So we're going to do this like we're sitting in the kitchen. I want to hear from you. I want to know the challenges. And so I'm not here representing your government. I'm here as a representative from my district or the 1st District of Illinois, and I want to hear from you. And I hope you would be as candid as you can. Some people are going to take longer because they have more to say, and I appreciate that. So in that spirit,
he appreciates it. But you know what? I gathered from that before we move on, though. He says, look, no. And listen carefully. He says, look, I'm not here to represent any government.
Exactly.
How important was that?
And I'm happy that you're in my head because that I was about to speak to that. For one, I don't think that Kwame understood what Jonathan meant when he said that, Congressman, that he's here on a point of privilege. And that went way over Kwame's head. Because he's saying that because of his position in the U.S., not Guyana, he has the right to hear certain things, and they can't control what he hears because he has the privilege of being a guest of the people here in Arcadia to speak to them. More than that, he announced he's not controlled by anybody in Guyana. So Kwame has been put in a great plight here by Jaglio and whoever his handlers would have sent him, because he feels that this would have been the normal situation whereby they can control the narrative and control people here and control what people say. But Jonathan announced him off the top. No, you can't dictate to what I hear. Neither can you dictate to how long anybody speaks in this room, because you, in essence, let me break it down for Kwame. Jonathan Jackson made it clear to you today that you are absolutely nothing in his presence. That's why he looked at him like that. Listen, you little bat hush, because you don't have any power in this room here. And that, I believe, would cause Kwame to have severe diarrhea.
No, he has that every single day anyway. It comes naturally, right?
Because he can't get the kind of pressure from anybody. It is unusual for him to be embarrassed like that on such an international, in my view. Because Jonathan's the congressman. The U.S. would be watching exactly what happened today. And they would have seen this little boy sent by Jaglio or whoever else it is, thinking he could control a U.S. congressman. Well, that's what.
He's a big old hardback individual, not little boy. We know he has a proclivity for certain things. He has been accused of going after little boys, accused of doing so. And so with that said, we move on now. Enough of that embarrassment cause. I mean, Kwame has no shame, but that was a big embarrassment. Moving on now. So earlier today, police went by the home of Kadaki, Amsterdam, activist Kadaki, Amsterdam, for something that he allegedly said months ago. And there's a civil suit that's going on by an individual who is said to be a landlord of the Guyana Police Force, because the Guyana Police Force, according to information, they rent a property from this individual. And the fact that they rent a property from this individual says it all. That months after they turned up at Kadaki's house to arrest Kadaki, senior police officers, armed to the teeth, went to arrest Kadaki Amsterdam on some frivolous, what is it, cybercrime stuff. They didn't go to arrest a man who's accused of raping a woman, viciously raping a woman. They didn't go by his house. That's Dharamlal, who is accused of raping that woman. They didn't go by his house, heavily armed police with, guns and all these sort of things, senior policemen, and they didn't go. They allow him to drive in the police station with style. But here's a man who did nothing, absolutely nothing. They went, arrested him like a criminal, and guess what? They handcuffed him, and the rest he's spending. This is Kadaki Amsterdam. Talk about this, please, Apostle London.
Thank you. And this was brought to my attention today while I was at work. I had a very long day today. And when I saw this, I was hoping to have a chance, which I would do at some point, to speak to this matter. Because whenever these things occur, I would always mention Nigel Dharamlal. And I mentioned that without reservation and without caution. Dharamlal should have been looking like this and worse, because it was not just one accusation leveled against him. The second young lady said that he raped her at gunpoint, if I'm not mistaken, that he pulled his weapon out and essentially threatened her to do certain things to her. So Dharamlal never looked like this. So why would a cyberbullying act or charge cause one to be in this posture? But Dharamlal could be standing free-handed in the police station and walk out on station bail, while Kadaki Amsterdam doesn't have the same privilege. I believe that these are things that should have triggered the opposition into action. I believe it, because these are things that should trigger us as a society to act in a manner that sends a message to the PPP that we are not going to accept this at any time and for any reason. Nigel Dharamlal deserves to be, in my view, in jail forever, or maybe worse than that, because he's not only affected females in reference to the accusation, but I saw how he speaks to females and about them on his platform. And he's a social figure. Here you have this man who's deemed an activist and so on, saying something, and I would say this, hopefully I don't offend too many people, or maybe I should offend many people. I believe that the Cyberbullying Act is what I call Granger's hen law. It's a disgrace. He should have never signed it, and before it even happened. I appeal to David Granger and the PNC, FC, do not allow this bill to be ascended into law. It is dangerous for the people of Guyana. I said it among other people. We said it, don't do this, because it will be used as an instrument to silence people. How can you have a bill that says that you must not speak ill against the government? Are we North Korea? This is insane. And here we have Kadaki Amsterdam suffering at the hand of a wicked and vile bunch of people. So because he hurt some man's feelings, and this is really taking me up a place I don't want to be tonight. Because he hurt a man's feelings in Guyana, the police came to arrest him. Now, what kind of society do we have? Where you can't hurt a grown man's feelings. You can't say certain things to upset grown men. So why was Critic never arrested for what he said to people? Why? What makes Dharamlal and others so different from anybody else in our society? And I hope and I pray that the average Guyanese, regardless of your ethnicity, you're taking note of this degree of discrimination. Jagdeo said they're not racist. Jagdeo said they do not discriminate against anybody. Jagdeo claims that they are so fair-minded. Well, why is Kadaki Amsterdam looking like this? And Dharamlal sitting in the station, or he didn't even say it as far as I'm concerned, walked in with the last law he had and just walked back out. What is really happening to us as a people?
And on top of that, the police keep saying that they have to take orders from higher up on such a frivolous charge.
Sorry for them. What is that? Who is higher up? Because I don't know any police officer who come to me and seek to do this and tell me that, well, boy, you see, London man, I got an instruction from somebody above me. Who? And I would ask him, what man of man are you for anybody above you to instruct you to do this to Kadaki, but they couldn't instruct you to Dharamlal?
I certainly don't understand what's going on there. I agree with you that this is an opportunity. Hundreds of folks should have been out in solidarity with Kadaki Amsterdam today, because this is not about Kadaki Amsterdam.
Oh,
This is getting too out of hand. We've had Rhonda Lane, who was charged. Rhonda Lane was charged, locked up also. She had to pay a fine of $500,000. $500,000 for some frivolous cybercrime charge that was never proven in court. I agree with you that that this law should have never been passed. And there were just a few of us who were arguing against the law. And in fact, I personally called Ramjatan, who was the Minister of Home Affairs then. I pleaded with them, do not pass this cybercrime law because it's going to return and it's going to harm your supporters more than anything else. But those guys were bright guys. You couldn't tell them anything when they were some of them when they were in office, you couldn't tell them crap. And so we are seeing the very things come back now to haunt their own supporters. That is why Kadaki Amsterdam is in the lockups tonight as a result of that. Now, every country needs law. Most countries have cybercrime laws, but there are certain things that should not have happened because it was going to come back to haunt their own supporters. So said, so done. But hundreds of people should have been out there to rally around this issue with Kadaki Amsterdam, who sits there tonight as a political prisoner. That's what he is. Nigel, before you get to probably make another point, let me just say that we have with us, sorry about that, we have with us attorney at law. We're getting a serious feedback. That feedback is coming from Nigel Hughes, attorney at law, who has been absent from 107.1 FM for a while. We're glad that he is back with us. He's smiling. Welcome back, Nigel.
Hey, good night, Mark. My apologies. I stepped out of a meeting, as you know, and I apologize for not being on earlier. I do want to say good night. I see my namesake there. Good to see you, sir. Mark, I know that anytime I appear in your program, I must be in your good book. So please don't beat me up tonight.
I wouldn't. I have never done that. We will let the program work tonight. But good to see you, Nigel. You have some colleagues here with us. Good night, ma'am. How are you doing? Both of you?
If I could introduce them,
Sure.
these are the ladies who did the hard work. We got a call from the police and somewhere around 6:30 or 7 o'clock tonight that they wanted to question Kadaki tonight. I unfortunately had another commitment, so the lady with the black shirt is Kiswana Jeffer. The one with the white shirt is Adriana Stephen, and they are the two that went down to the CID headquarters. They spent the last 2 hours there, and they have just come back, so they'd have far more contemporary information on what was asked. But I can certainly, I'm available for the other things because I did take him in this morning to the police station.
Yeah, we'll get back to you, Mr. Hughes. But let me speak. I'm hoping that Jeffers is from Linden, and I say yes, Lindeners.
Yes, she is.
Yes, I am Mr. Bench. My family members are from Linden.
Yes, Lindener. So when you guys appear, and nice to see you both on 107.1 FM. What transpired this evening when you visited your client, Mr. Kadaki Amsterdam? Ms. Jeffers or anyone? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, well, Mr. Amsterdam was, we waited for a little while for them to conduct an interview with him. In fact, 2 interviews he went through. He was read several allegations, in fact, 6 in total. 2 was with regards to Mr. Mohammed Kalenda, and the other 4 was in regards to inciting or encouraging persons to commit a criminal activity, to wit, murder, against the president, Mr. Infran Ali, the vice president, Dr. Barrett Jagdeo, the AG, Anil Landalal, and the senior minister within the Ministry of the Presidency in charge of Finance, Mr. Ashley Singh. So those were the four charges that were read. The six charges that were read against him. He, of course, remained silent, and then, of course, they asked several questions about um his whereabouts, his specifically these allegations were apparently taken place sometime in February of 2024. So his whereabouts in February was asked, and but Mr. Amsterdam remained silent throughout the interviews.
So wait a minute. Allegations of planning to, according to what you just said, to kill the quote unquote president and the Jack Deere and minister of all these things are, is that
No, Mark.
Well,
She said incitement.
that's incorrect. Yes.
Okay, good.
So the allegation specifically was that Mr. Amsterdam published a video with spoken words that can be used to incite or encourage persons to commit the criminal offense against those persons named. So the video of itself is what they're saying could incite persons to commit those offense.
Thank you for that correction. Attorney Nigel Hughes, your take, please, on what you just heard there.
Mark, to start with, this piece of legislation that we call the Cybercrime Act is an awful piece of legislation. It lends itself to the most unbelievable abuse. It is extremely subjective in nature. For example, if I say to you, good night, treason accused Mark, if you feel hurt by that allegation, then you can go make a report. This is being broadcast, and that can lead to a charge. So the whole act itself, I think even the Attorney General during some sitting of Parliament said that they were going to repeat it. It's an awful piece of legislation, really, really awful, and it is used to suppress free speech. So my namesake, Nigel, for example, I think needs to be alert to the fact that he may well be subject to somebody coming to his house and saying, look, please come to the station. We're going to, charge X, Y, and Z. I just want to give you an example. In the Ogunse case, in the trial is not finished, but in the trial, on the cross-examination, the police officers who were testifying, they accused Ogunse of inciting racial terror and fomenting racial hatred. Each police officer said that nobody in the crowd became excited. Nobody in the crowd appeared to be incited. No person in the crowd started to behave in a manner which was disorderly or threatened to go down the road. So they charged a person with attempting to incite racial hostility, and their own witnesses come to say they didn't see any single act of incitement. They didn't see anybody being incited or excited or somehow charged. Charges and they're emotionally charged. And so this piece of legislation is really offensive.
Very offensive indeed. Apostle, Nigel, your take on what you just heard there in terms of incitement? We've heard that many times before under the PPP regime. We're hearing it again.
I have, and I'm certainly glad that Mr. Amsterdam remained quiet, because in certain situations I'd have not there either. Because there's certain things that I refuse to answer to if it doesn't make any sense to me. And the most I may have said would have been, how could it be that the prosecution, for example, in the case where the young lady said was spat upon by the attorney, she said that based on what the young lady reported, there was no way that I think I'm saying his name wasn't, I can't remember his name at the moment, but there was no way that young attorney was intending to incite when he spoke about black people and so on. And so it seems as though this act lends itself to interpretations that are so wide in reference to the nature. Just about anybody, as Ms. Hughes is saying, can fall into the trap of the either the PPP or the police. I'm of the view that it's time for Ghana to rise up. Maybe there's some inciting now as well. But Ghana should rise up against the political leaders in this country and say, listen, this act right here, this law has to be repealed now, or we're not going to settle this things will not be ordinary, because it is going way too far. And it's being used in a manner that truly goes against our very constitutional right. I cannot fathom how any politician in this country can see this act or this law as being sensible in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely, rise up and speak out based on their constitutional rights on this particular issue. A few of us did when the law was about to be passed under the coalition, but nobody listened. Back to our lawyers there, Ms. Jeffers and her colleague. What's the mood like of Mr. Amsterdam, your client? Ladies?
Hi, Mr. Benchcop. Mr. Amsterdam was very calm, and as we indicated, he exercised his right to remain silent. He doesn't seem to be fazed by what is ongoing presently, and we hope that he remains that way throughout his time in police custody.
Do they have him is he in the lockups? Have they placed him there, or is he on the bench?
Prior to us leaving the police station, which is CID headquarters, he was placed on a prisoner's bench. He was not in a cell or anything to that effect.
Stephen, except Mark, if I could. When he was taken to CID this morning, somewhere around 10:30, 11 this morning, as soon as we got to CID headquarters, they immediately transferred him to the Ruimveldt police station for the purposes of placing him in a cell. So he was in a cell from around 12 o'clock. They attempted to process him. That's when they described him. I cannot believe that in this day and age anybody would use the term male Negro, but he was described as a male Negro, which we objected to. And after they'd finished processing him, and despite refusing to provide us with particulars of the basis upon which he was being detained, he was placed into a cell. So I suspect that he was in that cell at the Ruimveldt police station until they took him out somewhere around 6:30 this evening. I have indicated to him that given the typical conduct of the Guyana police force, they probably will keep him for 72 hours and then charge him.
Yeah, the usual thing.
Sort of standard practice.
Yeah, we've had our runs of those 72 hours, Nigel, back in our days, if you know what I mean. So here's a question. Guys. Renee Paris is asking here, can you ask, and I'm asking you lawyers, can the legislation, be challenged in court of law constitutionally?
Yeah, all legislation can be challenged. Let me start off by saying all legislation can be challenged. What happens is whether it reaches the threshold where it is either unconstitutional because it may infringe the right to free speech. So the short answer to that is yes. But Mark, as you know, by the time you put together a team to start preparing that, some other ridiculous act by the state takes place, and you get distracted. And of course, with limited numbers, limited lawyers, we can't cover everything. But yes, it certainly, to answer Mr. Paris's question, yes, it certainly can be challenged. We would have to look at aspects of it. It certainly seems to me to infringe on the right to free speech if the basis upon which you can end up being criminally charged is the feeling of the victim, as opposed to some other basis.
You know, I'll get back to our lawyers, our female lawyers there, and those of you who are now joining us, good night. Welcome to Straight Up. Kadaki Amsterdam is still in the lockups. Some frivolous allegations being leveled against him. The female lawyers represented their client, part of Hughes, and Stobie. Sorry, I'm just addressing them as a female lawyer. Should not be doing that, but attorney at law.
Kiswana Jefford and Adriana Stevens.
And Miss Stevens, yep. Sorry about that. I'm wondering, she looks like her dad. I'm not sure if her dad is Mr. Stevens or... Oh, anyways, that's all right, Mr. Stevens.
I hope her dad is Mr. Stevens. Is which Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, that's right. I pulled a Linden, a Polka Street kind of thing there. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Yes.
Because oftentimes here, sometimes that the police, they do not respect the rights of lawyers in terms of the client-lawyer privilege relationship. Were they cordial this evening, the police?
Yes, they were very cordial with us. We were able to speak with Mr. Amsterdam before his interviews, and we had a little brief with him after as well.
A little brief after, indeed. Nigel, this morning when you, Mr. Hughes, that is, this morning when you went out there for your client, early o'clock this morning, you think at all, anywhere his rights were being breached in any way, shape, or form?
Well, what I will say is, despite our repeated requests for the particulars of the allegations that they were making against us, they persistently refused to provide any information. They just said cybercrime and didn't provide any information. Then somebody said, one of the police officers said, oh, it's to do with Kulanda Muhammad. Actually, he didn't say Kulanda, he said Muhammad, so I thought it was the other Muhammad. I said, you need to provide us with the specific particulars. What are you specifically accusing Mr. Amsterdam of, so that we can begin to have a discussion with him as a client? And they refused to provide that.
They certainly refuse to provide that. I know you guys have had a long day. I will continue this discussion with Apostle Nigel. But before we go, anything else, Ms. Stevens and Ms. Jeffers, anything else you'd like to add on behalf of your client? Because a lot of people out there, and they're very thankful for you guys for being there to represent your client. But you think they are prepared, the police, they're prepared to put them through the 72 hours?
If they're prepared to do what, sorry?
To put him through the 72 hours and probably ask for an extension also, knowing how the folks operate, especially Mr. Hughes, when they say they got to wait for orders from higher up.
Oh, that's standard procedure now. The police, I don't think the police release people on the 72 hours. They pick people up and they lock them up, even though there's no reason to keep them. This morning at Rumpelt Station, again, I specifically said, is there a reason why Mr. Amsterdam has to be in custody while you conduct this investigation? If you're saying that he's made statements, why does he have to be in custody? He clearly can't erase the statements you say you have. He cannot interfere with the persons you say have suffered, whether it's Mr. Jack Deal, Mr. Nandlal, whoever. Then there's really no reason other than to demonstrate that you have the power to lock up a citizen. There's no reason to keep him in custody. You only keep people in custody where you fear they are likely to flee, or that they may interfere with the course of the investigation. But the practice has been in Ghana that the police, from the time they arrest you, they lock you up to show that they got the power to lock you up.
Anything else, Ms. Stevens, Ms. Jeffers?
No, Mr. Benchka, but just to answer you and to elaborate a bit further to what Mr. Yu said, we do believe that the police officers are prepared to hold Mr. Amsterdam in custody for 72 hours or alternatively beyond that if an order is sought. Particularly while Mr. Amsterdam would have exercised his right to remain silent this evening during the said interviews we highlighted, he was expressly asked by one of the officers whether he has a speech impediment. In addition to that, earlier on when he was at the Rijnveld police station, the police officer sought to take or uplift fingerprints from Mr. Amsterdam. Mr. Hughes would have advised him that in order to get that done, there are certain measures that need to be taken by the police officers. Upon our arrival this evening at the Criminal Investigating Department, we were told by Mr. Amsterdam again that the police officer sought to lift fingerprints from him in the absence of obtaining the requisite documents to have that done. So holistically, we do believe that the police officers are going to hold Mr. Amsterdam in custody beyond the 72 hours or for the 72 hours. And we also hope that no sort of intimidating tactics will be used against Mr. Amsterdam while he is in police custody during that time.
Thank you so much for that information, Ms. Jeffers and Ms. Stevens, attorneys at law. Has he expressed, your client expressed, that his life might be in danger at this time?
No, Mr. Benchko,
Yeah.
he did not make any such expressions to us. We did ask him whether he's comfortable, whether anyone will force him or anything of the like, and he indicated no.
Thank you both so much for what you have done on behalf of your clients. I know thousands of people are appreciative of your courageous work that you guys do there as lawyers, especially in Guyana. Mr. Hughes, before you go, you touched on something that I think needs to be looked at. The fact that the police department continues, the police force, they continue to address persons or describe persons of African descent as either male Negro or female Negro. It has got to stop. When will we have the end of that?
Well, Mark, you had some premature celebrations because I think a couple of weeks ago, they actually described somebody properly as African male or African female. I can't remember which one it was. And you correctly said progress, and you commended the police on having done that. So clearly, your commendations were the reason why they reverted to this relatively derogatory term of Negro, because clearly this is some attempt to I mean, Kadaki, his name alone, he could never be a house slave. How are you going to call him Negro? I mean, it's unbelievable. But then, anyway, that's another issue.
You know, Mr. Hughes, quickly before we go, because I know Apostle Nigel has a lot also to say, but can your law firm, attorneys Stevens and maybe Jeffers, on my behalf, write to the Ethnic Relations Commission complaining about this usage of term male Negro or female Negro, so we can put a stop to this once and for all? If you guys are willing to do that pro bono for me, I know you've done hundreds of cases pro bono for me. We've got to, it has got to stop. It has to stop.
Mark, I in my very minor role as one of the senior partners in the firm, I can certainly undertake on their behalf that we will write to the Ethnic Relations Commission. Not that we have a lot of expectations of that body, but we will certainly write to that body to indicate that the continued description of people of African descent as Negro is an insult. It's offensive.
I know I have said quickly, and you know, Nigel, with my history, and you'll tell both of the younger lawyers there that Bench Up has a history of saying one more question. Any comment on the visit by Congressman Jonathan Jackson in Mocha, Arcadia today?
I haven't got a feedback on it other than what I've read, but I certainly I am happy, and I want to commend the work you and others in the diaspora have done that encouraged and led to the congressman meeting with the real people of African descent to hear their real stories about what their experience living in Guyana is. And I'm told that it was a salutary experience for him. The complaints clearly coming from the citizenry themselves and not from the politicians. And it is my hope that the good congressman takes that information back with him, shares with the authorities in the United States of what the experience is for people of African descent. I see you have that really awful, disturbing image of that female African covered in mud being handled by members of the Guyana Police Force. So I think that it was a good thing that he went to Mocha today, and we'll see what comes of it.
We will see what comes of it. I can't have Apostle Nigel to sit there. Do you have anything else before Mr. Hughes and Mrs. Stevens and Jeffers go?
Yeah, I must say thanks to them for doing their part legally. But I'd also like to call on those who have got other responsibilities I consider to be social responsibilities. Kadaki should not stand alone. I mean, there is no way, for one, the police referring to anybody as a Negro should and must warrant a response from the society itself. It has to stop. And I believe that certainly the law won't be able to stop as quickly as we can in this country. Kadaki doesn't have to spend 70 hours in the lockups if we act the way we do. Because this has to stop. And I would like to argue that if any African descendant or Hebrew descendant is described in this age as a Negro, then we have to act. Because you announcing to me how you feel about me, and how you feel about my brother, how you feel about a man who shares the same biological roots as I may share. And so once you describe him as an African Negro, then you want Negroes to act then. So let's have this on the table. From my perspective, they must be response. Kadaki should not stand alone. There is no way that Kadaki should be standing, even at Larry by himself. Where are the 30 plus voices of members of parliament? Where are these people? Where are we? What are you doing? This is an assault against an African descent, period. And there must be a response, because I believe that there's a time for everything according to scripture under the sun. There's a time for it, and this is the time for us to react.
I will surprise Ms. Stevens and Ms. Jeffers. You said there's a scripture to that. There's a time for everything. It's Ecclesiastes 3.
There you go.
I'm proud of myself, ladies, and Mr. Hughes. But before we go, here is something that will shock you guys in the event you haven't seen it yet. Here we go.
Thank you so much for that. But if I could have a point of privilege, this is a family dialogue. If one person wants to talk longer, I am available to listen. So we're going to do this like we're sitting in the kitchen. I want to hear from you. I want to know the challenges. And so I'm not here representing your government. I'm here as a representative from my district, of the 1st District of Illinois, and I want to hear from you. And I hope you would be as candid as you can. Some people are going to take longer because they have more to say, and I appreciate that. So in that spirit, I thank you.
You saw that look, Mr. Nigel Hughes. You guys saw that look? I know.
Yes.
Yep. We all saw it. Ms. Jeffers saw it.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we saw it.
You guys saw it. Thank you all for being here. Don't be a stranger. Give my regards, please, to Mr. Kadaki, Amsterdam tomorrow. Tell him we all are praying for him. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Mark, let me just say again, and I want to take the opportunity to thank you, because I thank you on all occasions for the good work you continue to do, and also for Apostle Nigel. Whenever we do meet, I do want to say thank you, because we can never take for granted anything that you do. So just for myself and my firm, we appreciate what you've been doing.
Yep, thanks.
Good night.
You know what, Nigel?
Quickly
before you go, Nigel, this is all reminiscent. When will it stop, man? I recall for the 20
Mark,
you've
sorry to cut you. It stops, like Apostle Nigel said, it stops when we say we had enough.
Enough is enough.
We have to say we've had enough. No more. It's not going to stop where we're raising our hands and asking somebody else to do what we need to do.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, ladies. Appreciate
Good night.
it. Yep. Good night. Apostle London, we're still here. We still have a few minutes more. You heard what Nigel had to say. Nigel Hughes, the lawyer, and the other lawyers, Ms. Stevens and Ms. Jeffers. In terms of describing Kadaki, Amsterdam, they want to take his fingerprints. They described him as Negro, male Negro, all these things. In closing, sir.
I don't want to say I'm cursed with the task, but I'm burdened by the task of having to ask Mr. Aubrey Norton, because maybe telling him doesn't work anymore. I'm asking Aubrey Norton to be the official leader of the opposition and act as though you are one. You are an African descendant, or you should be one. You are seeing clearly that one who is connected to some extent to the APNLC coalition, or would have been, I don't know what the WP is still part of them, because many things have happened, but they still associate with them. And whether or not that is the case, Kadaki should not be standing there alone. This is graceful. It speaks a lot to this. And more so, look at the fact that Congressman Jackson went to Mount Arcadia today, and today the Ghana police force, their henchmen, would be on the loose to deal with Kadaki Amsterdam. And today, Norton is yet to gather 1,000 people outside of Ivleary, outside of Clifton Hickens' home, wherever he has to go, to say Kadaki must be free now. My point in closing is this. Georgetown should not even be functioning tomorrow. Yet again, if Kadaki is still in the lockup. Because we have to make a statement that is definitive and strong enough. This must not happen. I don't know how you could tell me that Kadaki would have said something that would cause people to want to kill Irfan or want to kill, or he would have, through publishing something, potentially want somebody to do something to harm Jagdeo. I mean, these men are surrounded by 500 bodyguards every second. I'm just being extravagant here. And they're the weakest of all people I know, afraid of a fly probably. And so what? You have to now be so cautious with how you deal with them? This is what I want people to see in Guyana, whereby people can act in a manner that is so reckless and dangerous to us as citizens. And they believe that it's their right now to do it. So Aubrey Norton, it's your right to act as the official leader of the opposition, to get people out there to stand and allow Kadaki to not spend another minute in the lockup. If Kadaki has to sleep in the lockup tonight and you want to be a true leader of the opposition, you sleep on the road. Pitch tents outside of Ivleary. I don't care whether it's rain or shine. Be out there and say that if he can't go, then we are not leaving. And then you take it up a notch. I remind you again, Desmond Hoyt, I repeat, with Jagdeo said, slow fire, more fire. And I have never seen Jagdeo tremble like that again. Maybe he needs to tremble again. On another leader who says they want to push us, then we'll deal with it in like manner. That is what Guyana requires at this time. Not church boy, pretty boy approach. You have to put your foot down because people, Guyanese people of African ancestry descendants, listen to me. If any police says that you are a Negro, understand what they're telling you. Please. This is serious, and this is gone beyond the tipping point. I would hope that the police can arrest me at one point and call me a Negro. Maybe you'll do so tomorrow.
It has got to stop. Thank you so much, Apostle Nigel. I call him at the last minute. Is always ready to be part of the battle. Always ready. How's the flooding out in Linden before we go? Because we saw the mess the PPP did over the past couple of days.
My brother, it's a painful sight to behold that for 3 or 4 days the PPP paid people. The report is $7 million would be expended by now. And Edgell came boasting about the works they're doing. What these people didn't realize is that there's certain key drainage outlets in this town that if they are blocked or not properly cleared, the town will flood because Mackenzie is a basin. You have Amelia's ward, you've got where I am, Fraser's and so on. Nycadac is a basin. You have to be careful. So the dike is above Karakar by over 12 feet. So once you play around with these places, the water comes down into the town and that's it. So many neighborhoods are underwater. People have lost appliances, my brother. People cannot sleep in the bottom of the houses tonight. Some people can't sleep in the night at all. It is that bad and it threatens to be worse because it is what we call the dike. And when I was coming up from Georgetown today, I saw water overtopping the dike flowing into Karakara. And then I saw the result. Bamia is also flooded with Bamia River. People don't know that. Some people don't know it. But Bamia is suffering too. We have intensive flooding. And so I saw them tonight trying to clear so many of the waterways around Fraser's and so on, trying to get Nycadac of the people have to paddle canoes in boats in Nycadac. But I say this to you, over a year ago, more than a year ago, when they were working on the road by GRA Drive, I said to them that they're critical on the subsurface tunnels, tubes. It was made of wood back in the day. I said, if you don't position or reposition them exactly as it would have been and connect them where they should be connected, you will have serious flooding in Nycadac in those places. Of course, I'm the troublemaker, right? Guess what? They're flooding now because they only put 2 tubes under the road when you had about 6 or so connections. So the water has nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. And now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. So forgive me for this, but it's painful. People are losing. The bank, Republic Bank, Mr. Benshop, was flooded.
The bank?
You can
Okay.
do it on the water.
I wish they would have had millions of dollars floating underwater.
I mean,
Probably.
but it's rough. It's really, really bad. And it happened just after the PPP said they've done so much, and they came to Linden on the radio station. So they've done so much for Linden, and what you left us was in floods.
You know, I gotta say that I saw the videos. Thank you so much, Apostle London. But I saw the videos of the mayor of Linden there and the deputy mayor. They were out, and the chairman. And I'd like to take this time out to say thank you to those gentlemen for being out there for all those hours, highlighting what the problem is currently or what the problems are. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, and also thank you, Apostle London. I know you will be on live tomorrow sometime. Hopefully, we will carry it live right here on 107.1 FM. Thank you again for accepting the invitation at such a last minute. Give my regards also to your family. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah. And to all of our listeners, we appreciate you guys very much. This is a business that is owned by Mr. London's, Apostle London's wife, Sinita London. She's an interior decorator and event planner. Give her a buzz, 592-672-4743. If you're planning anything in Guyana and you need her, give her a buzz. Thank you. So that's the plug we have here. We'll be out of here for now. We're gone. We'll see you guys later on. In fact, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'll be on Kadaki's show. I'll be hosting Kadaki's show for him. I'll be sitting in for him along with David Hines, Dr. David Hines. So let me go and get some rest. Tata.
Thank you so much for that. But if I could have a point of privilege, this is a family dialogue. If one person wants to talk longer, I am available to listen. So we're going to do this like we're sitting in the kitchen. I want to hear from you. I want to know the challenges. And so I'm not here representing your government. I'm here as a representative from my district of the 1st District of Illinois, and I want to hear from you. And I hope you would be as candid as you can. Some people are going to take longer because they have more to say, and I appreciate that. So in that spirit, I thank you.